This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good morning, everyone. Beautiful day today. After yesterday's Hakdama, after yesterday's introduction, I think we should have a little bit of a smaller share this morning, Be'ezah Hashem. And we're going to go weiter in a little bit more of an introduction and hopefully a little bit more into the halachas. But I don't think we're going to get too deep into the halachas today. Hopefully, Be'ezah Hashem tomorrow. That's going to be the plan. There's a Mordechai Ben Yoda. The Ben Yoda in Gittin and Vav and Aleph tells us like a Valdige site. Mamish our sogya. The Ben Yoda in Gittin and Vav says that we know when the Torah says Hakol Kol Yaakov Adayim Yedev Esav, we know that when the Hakol Kol Yaakov, the voice is the voice of Yaakov, you feel like Esav. Says the Ben Yoda Gavaldige Zach, we see Hakol Kol Yaakov, when the voice is Yaakov, when we are using our mouths, the voices of Yaakov, the voice of a Yid, speaking Torah, speaking Tefillah, speaking the correct way, then Ein HaYadayim de Esav has no power, says the Ben Yoda. But says the Ben Yoda, when a Yid speaks like a Yid, when a Yid speaks the way he's meant to, and his voice is the voice of Yaakov, of a voice of someone that is a Yid, then Esav, the Goyim, have no shlita on him. There's no overpowering of the Goyim, and a person has a Gavaldige Koyach. It's a Gavaldige Yisoid. You know, as we said yesterday, that some of the greatest hopes that we have from life is many of the brachas that we want. Nachas from our children, shalom bayis, parnasa, so much. We want so much. And as we said yesterday, we had a mitzvah over here that we're discussing, and Baruch Hashem, I heard this morning from somebody who listened to the shir, how after yesterday's shir, he mamish stopped himself numerous times throughout the day, when he was about to say something that might have been negative, derogatory to somebody else, about somebody else, he stopped himself. Rabbi said, that's tremendous. And Baruch Hashem, we should all be zocher to that, because it's a tremendous thing, that throughout today, mechazik ourselves, figure out how we can speak and not speak badly about somebody else. I'll tell you, Mordechai Maisa, somebody once called me with the following shaila. You know, Lashon Hara shailas are always very interesting. The common ones are, I got a shedder call about a friend of mine, a roommate, a chavrusa, and I know a certain issue about him. Do I have to say it? Should I say it? How am I not allowed to say it? All these sorts of things. But this was an interesting one. This was from a girl that left school a little bit early. She was half kicked out, half left. Whatever, a situation that the school weren't very, very happy with her. The menahelet over here, the head teacher, was not very happy with her. They're a little bit upset why she left. It was a sticky situation. Anyway, this girl was now in shidduchim. So she calls me up and she says, I started shidduchim, and there's no question that they're going to ask about my school history. Where did I go to, and who's the menahelet, and I can't get away from it. My problem is, I don't know if they're going to say nice things or not. I have no idea. Here's the shaila. Am I allowed to call up, pretend I'm asking shidduch information about myself? They're not going to hurt me. This way I'll be able to hear, or are they actually going to say nice things? Could be maybe they got over it. Could be they're going to say nice things anyway. Am I allowed to do that, or is it causing them to speak Lashon Hara? Interesting shaila. I don't think we're going to get to it now, but just an idea of some of the shailas that a person has to ask and has to realize come into Lashon Hara, whether you're saying it or whether you're causing somebody else to say it. Maybe, as the Chofetz Chaim says, even listening to somebody else causes someone to say it, because if you weren't there, he wouldn't say it. So sometimes you, by simply listening to somebody else, causes the Lashon Hara to be said. Apart from the fact of you listening to it and being mekabel, which we'll discuss, it's a terrible thing. Rav Shagav Feivel Mendelovich Zatzal used to say, Gavaldige Yisoid. He used to say, why do you have two eyes? What's the pshat? We spoke right in the beginning, if you remember, with the Heilige Yerushalmi, Reb Shimon ben Yochai, that said, Halavai, we should have two mouths. And they said, no, not again, because we have enough problems with one mouth, forget about two. Rav Shagav Feivel Mendelovich Zatzal used to say, what is the reason that we have two eyes? He says, one is to see our friends' positive attributes, and the other one is to see our own faults, something that many people don't see. Number one, to see someone else's good side, and number two is to see your own faults. And that's something that's incredible. And that's why he says, why we have two eyes. And he says we do the opposite. We use one eye to see our own good qualities. And we use the other eye to see all our friends' deficiencies. That's what we use our eyes for. So a person has to be careful, because at the end of the day, as we'll see, Be'ez Hashem, Lashon Hara often comes from the way you look at someone else, the way you think about somebody else. That is the way that a person generally speaks Lashon Hara. And that's what a person has to be careful. The Heilige Vilna Gaon, Rabbi Yisai. The Vilna Gaon understood what it means, Tefillah B'tzibur, understood what it means coming to shul. And there's a letter, the Igeres HaGra, and he writes in that letter the following. Says the Vilna Gaon, he's talking to his wife, and he says it's better for your daughter not to go to shul. Can you imagine? He's telling his wife it's better for the kids not to go to shul, because they're going to see nice clothing, they may be jealous, and they're going to speak about it, and it's going to cause negative speech. Can you imagine? The Vilna Gaon said it's better not to go to shul and see what you're going to see. It's going to cause you coming home saying all sorts of terrible things about those people and these people and these people. Not good. Vilna Gaon understood what it means coming to shul. Tefillah B'tzibur, in Yonei Kedusha, 10 people saying Baruch Amen Yeshmei Rabba. It's beautiful. Come on, brachas, the whole world was created, stands on that. But no, because you're going to say one moment of negative speech, the whole thing is not negeh. This is a very, very serious thing. It's a very thing that the person has to think about and has to understand. So what are the eitzes? What are the eitzes? Now we've heard how bad Lashon Hara is, negative speech. What do we do l'maisa? So the best eitzer is, I asked once from Chaim Kanievsky Shlita, I said, what do you do if a person nichshel on a certain halacha? Right? Anything, whether it's tefillah, krishma, pasav v'cholov, tefillah, skate, anything, what does it make a difference? Person by mistake did an essay. What does he do? Tshuva. See, he told me the best tshuva is to learn those halachas. It's a Chofetz Chaim as well. When you learn those halachas, there's an automatic tshuva that comes. Why? Because you're showing the Rabbeinu Shalom that you no longer want to do this. Not are you just saying, God, I don't want to do it anymore, but you're doing something about it. You're saying, Rabbeinu Shalom, not only do I want to do it, I'm going to learn the halachas so that in the future I will not do it. So Rabbi say the very first step that we have to take is to makabel on ourselves to learn Shmiras HaLashon. Is to learn the halachas of Lashon Hara. Think about someone who can learn it with, or a shir that you can listen to. There are shiurim, whether it's on my app, whether it's on Torah Anytime, whether it's on anywhere. There are shiurim you can listen to. There are svarim in Hebrew, svarim in English. I'm sure in the yeshiva if you request a shir, that can also be arranged. But that is step number one. Shmiras HaLashon. The best way, first of all, it makes you more sensitive to know what the halachas are. Most people don't even know, what? That's Lashon Hara? Come on. It's not Lashon Hara, it's okay, it's fine. So the first step is you have to know what's also what's mutar. And also it shows a gewaldige zach when it comes to tshuva over there. That's a very important thing that a person has to know over there. The other thing that we'll discuss is about believing it. Whether you're allowed to believe that which you heard, and if you heard something, then obviously you're not allowed to believe it in that way. So we'll discuss a little bit more of that, but I want to just mention one last thing for today, before we actually start the actual halachas of when mutar, when asa, and when it applies. You know, one of the very important mitzvahs of Ben Adam Lechaveiroi is Don Lekav Zchus. Shlach Kodesh brings this down, that being Don Lekav Zchus is a tremendous thing. Now, why am I telling you this now? There are many mitzvahs Ben Adam Lechaveiroi we can talk about, and we have to talk about it because the Maisa doesn't say anything much in the Torah about midas. You learn Orchas Tzadikim, for example, he goes to many of the midas Tovas, person can masakin. But L'maisa, Ben Adam Lechaveiroi is a very, very important thing. And I want to tell you something like this. Rav Pam Zatzal used to say, Gavaldig Azach, he used to say that if a person wants to treat the Isra of Lashon Hara, what does he do? He learns the halachas of Lashon Hara. That's what you do to treat Lashon Hara. If a person has a symptom of speaking Lashon Hara in his life, you learn Hilchos Shmiras HaLashon, you learn a Sefer Lashon Hara, Chofetz Chaim, you'll be okay. Says Rav Pam Zatzal that if you want to treat the actual sickness, meaning where it roots from, if you want to know where it actually comes from, says Rav Pam Zatzal, that's being done Lekav Zchus. And he compares it to a person that has strep. If a person has strep, there are two ways you can go about it. You can take a painkiller, and the painkiller gets rid of the pain. It stops you feeling the pain, but it's still there. The sickness is still there. That's learning the halachas of Sefer Chofetz Chaim. Stops you from speaking Lashon Hara. But if you want, says Rav Pam Zatzal, how to treat the actual sickness, you've got to take antibiotics. The antibiotics cure the strep itself. Says Rav Pam Zatzal, yes, it's beautiful to learn Hilchos Lashon Hara, Shmiras HaLashon, the Sefer Chofetz Chaim. And we just, Be'ez Hashem, everybody, hopefully, B'linei made a Kabbalah to start learning it. But if you want to treat the real sickness, if you want to go to the root of the problem, it's being done like Kashrus. Because the reason why a person speaks badly about somebody else is because a person is not done like Kashrus. When a person is done someone else like Kashrus, then he's not going to speak badly about him. He sees him doing something. He hears something that he's saying, whatever it may be. How is he going to speak badly about somebody that's doing the right thing? But you can only do that if you're done a Kashrus. So the very, very first thing that a person has to really work on, like I said, you can take a painkiller for the strep, you'll get rid of the pain, but if you actually want to deal with the sickness itself, and you want to deal with the illness and heal the illness, being done a Kashrus. Learn to see other people in a positive light. Like we said, use both eyes the way we explained it. One to see someone else's good qualities, and one to see your own faults. Because when you see somebody else's good qualities, it changes the whole perspective, how you look at him, how you treat him, and how you speak about him as well. So the Chofetz Chaim mentions, and again, like I said, for today we're just going to go a little bit into this, in his Akdama to the Sefer Chofetz Chaim, how many mitzvahs mitzvahs loisa say, some of them are furish in the Torah, and some of them are not furish in the Torah. But a person could be over on so many different isurim. We mentioned right in the beginning, I think this was yesterday in the beginning, a person could do more aveiros from one conversation to his friend, his roommate, his parents, than the guy in Muncie with the meat scandal. Just how many isurim a person could be over in one sentence. Talks about a community, talks about a town. Who knows? Shem Yerachim. Says the Chofetz Chaim, what is the Issa? The first halacha that the Chofetz Chaim says is even if it's true. The biggest misconception about Shmiras HaLashon is, if it's true then it's okay. Chofetz Chaim says absolutely asa. Not only that, even if the person who you're talking about knows that you're talking about that, it's still going to be asa. That doesn't make any difference. By the way, if it's false, it's Motzi Shema. Motzi Shema is way worse than Lashon Hara, which maybe we'll talk a little about. Now, the Rambam paskins that Lashon Hara is whether or not you're joking. You know, people are like, I was just joking. It was a figure of speech. That's how people talk in the street. It's normal. No, says the Rambam, even if it's a joke, that is the Issur of Lashon Hara, and these are Issurei Doraisas. I don't believe there's a person in this room that would ever dream of eating chometz on Pesach. It just doesn't even enter your mind. I don't think anyone even woke up in the morning on Pesach and had a taiva for that. You had a Yetzer Hara on Pesach morning. Ooh, yeah, it'll be geschmack to have a bowl of cereal. It'll be geschmack to have a roll. Okay, this is a chet. Oh, but to have a taiva, I think, I have to stop myself. There's such a thing, right? There's such a thing. It's a deraisa. Lashon Hara is surei kama v'kama v'kama is surei deraisa. Some are foolish, some not foolish in the Torah. But you say one sentence. The words just came out of your mouth. The Chofetz Chaim paskins that even if the person you spoke about, nothing happened to him, there was no consequence. He didn't know about it, he didn't find out about it, nothing was even affected, not his parnassa, not his shidduchim, nothing. Doesn't make a difference. Even if there's no one was affected by what happened, there's going to be Issa, and therefore a person is chayiv and a person is over, says the Chofetz Chaim, even if you didn't intend to speak badly. It wasn't my kavanah. No, I didn't mean it in a bad way. Doesn't make a difference. That is considered to be Lashon Hara. And the Chofetz Chaim says, even if you include yourself in the Issa, me and him went somewhere and did something wrong. That's also. We'll talk about speaking about yourself. That was your question?
So, yeah.
And?
What are you allowed to, let's say, are you allowed to say good stuff about someone?
Good stuff, well, we'll talk about that. It depends. It depends, right? Very good, exactly. If it's too much, and you know, especially if you know who you're talking to, is going to come along and say, he didn't finish Shas, he was an art scroll. You know what I'm saying? So they have to be careful. Okay. Says Vaita, Rabbi. And again, we've got a lot to discuss, and today we're just going to a little bit just to get our feet wet into the sugya. This is actually a shayla for those that are learning Daf Yomi. It's a big shayla. The Chofetz Chaim paskins, you're not allowed to speak about a chayfetz, about an object. You're not allowed to speak about an object, right? In a bad way, you're not allowed to speak about an object. It applies, said the Chofetz Chaim, even beremez, even if you meramez, you hint about someone bad, or you write about something, you write a letter, or write something in a newspaper for sure, something similar to that, right? All of those situations. So, Rabbi said, there's a lot to discuss. And we're going to have to go into many of the halachas that we have to go into. We'll talk about Are you allowed to speak about non-Jewish people? Are you allowed to speak about yourself? All these sorts of things. Who's obligated? Is your wife included in this? What about your children? What about L'Toyeles? You're telling the Rebbe, you're telling your Rebbe something, or you want to tell for Shidduchim, constructive purposes. There's a ton of halachas that we have to discuss. I just wanted to get our feet wet a little bit into the sugya and just re-energize. So make sure, Be'ez Hashem today, Rabbi say, let's machazik ourselves before we speak. It's that loaded gun, Moshe Aaron Stern, it's that loaded gun that once it goes out, the bullet is done. You can no longer take it back, Rabbi say. Watch the words you say. Have a wonderful day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.